So hi, my name is Andrew Turner. I work for a company called Fortius One, building geocommons, but this is a story of a project I got involved with this fall called Twitter Votereport. And actually I got involved about a week and a half before the actual election started. So I'll kind of go through what was all involved, how we actually got it done, and where it went in the future. So the first thing was to start with an idea. The idea kind of, I believe, came out of some people talking on forums and emails. Tech President kind of started posting out these things. What happens if we use Twitter as a way to kind of capture what's going on in elections? Obviously, the past elections had lots of problems with wait times, missing reports, missing ballots, people not knowing where to go. So what can we use to kind of capture technology, try and gather this stuff? So first, let's have this idea. Let's go find some engineers. You know, all these people that were really good at advocacy didn't necessarily know how to go build something. So they put up a PB Wiki. They went out and found some engineers through Andy Carvin at NPR, kind of Dave Troy, who did Twitter Vision, and myself, who I'd worked on Andy Carvin and with some other projects, and kind of got some engineers quickly together to work on this stuff. So first thing you do is, besides using PB Wiki and other wikis, pull other off-the-shelf software. So we pulled in WordPress, very easy to fire up for having a blog, to keep people updated and start building a community. Pull down some other, start using, looked at Twitter and Flickr and other existing frameworks to see how much of that we could start with to get going. So then find out what's also not there. So build what's missing. So we fired up an open source project. We used GitHub. Git is a very easy way to kind of distributed version control, so we can get a lot of the people involved. Start building this all as a Ruby on Rails application using Dave Troy's work on Twitter Vision for aggregation of Twitter, but also starting building on more and more to start gluing all these different pieces together. And then actually knowing that we were going to have to, this is going to be a one-day event, was start beforehand cultivating the community. So on Twitter and all of these social networks starting to promote the idea. So talking about the Votereport tag, what we were really trying to achieve here, that we wanted people to help either coders, we wanted people to actually come and help sweep and clean up malicious things or spam, or any other kind of way that could help out with publicity and reach out. So kind of prepare for the event before it happened. And then when you're going to do this kind of thing, you want to think about, well, what's the actual user interface here? How are users going to interact with this thing? We're trying to really reach the last mile of people. These aren't all technologists. So we looked at how people were starting to report things and then what they could use. So we had SMS, we had iPhone, Android, voice, so people call into a telephone number. They could submit on a website. They could do YouTube. They could do text message directly, so make it very easy. And then the interfaces themselves. So when you actually build these, you start building some also compelling interfaces where you can ask for more information. So the Android and iPhone apps both did geolocation to where you were, and you can also do little things like how long was your wait time at the polling location? What other problems did you run into? Was there a problem with the voting machine? What would you actually rate this thing at? Because we were looking for both qualitative and quantitative information here. And then actually fire it up, get people actually starting seeing what's going on. Especially with visualization, it's really hard to predict what you're going to visualize before we have data. We played a lot with kind of really simple thematic visualizations and showing data just so people can kind of see what was going on across the country beforehand and try and prepare for, again, we're launching this for a one-day event and how to kind of do that kind of thing. So the other thing is we want to do, this wasn't supposed to be a locked-in, we have all the data, no one else can have it. We really, from the get-go, was get all the data out here. And I work on a lot in data standards. So we served out GRSS Atom, KML, search APIs, GeoJSON. People could get straight database dumps, get XML dumps, whatever they wanted to get, made it very easy to either download or hook into these APIs and do things with. So it was really cool because I know all these are kind of people that didn't want to work on the platform and could come after the fact and start building their own little visualizations. So they built little embeddable widgets. Nate DeFreitas, iPlot came in and built some timeline visualizations. Dave Troy did some little processing, some visualization of watching reports flow across the country. So because you shared the data out, people can go and innovate on top of it without having to submit code or wait for that to get in. Obviously, for this one-day event is make a lot of friends who have a lot of scaling capability. So Network Redux was awesome and gave us a couple servers right up front to help it. And then throughout the day, we're consistently having to scale. The actual big bottleneck was WordPress. Scale your WordPress database. The Rails application was fine, but we started seeing multiple gigabytes throughput on our system, but it was mostly on just kind of all our feeds and stuff were static, so we generated them ahead of time. But we also wanted to show people how the system was being used throughout the day. So here's a quick timeline we built. I think around 10 a.m. on election day, I said, well, people are asking, how many reports have you gotten? When are the people reporting? So threw this together, a little CSS graph of showing at this point, somewhere around 5 p.m. Eastern time, we had 12,000 reports, and showing how people were using it. Again, we wanted people to see it was a live system, a way to keep contributing data back to the system, very easy to get to. And then just sit back and watch it. Provide little interfaces to actually watch it stream across, what people are doing, little search queries. You hear bad reports and good reports, and it was amazing what people are saying. I mean, the nice little text ones were nice, but the voice ones were really, really, really compelling. People calling in saying, wow, I'd never voted before, but I feel like my vote actually made a difference today, and actually capturing the passion in their voice. Or people that are really frustrated because they've been entrapped. They're getting fined for their not having the right registration on the day of. So then actually afterwards, what can you do with all this data? So you can actually, people can take this data now after the fact and do some analysis and understanding what the situation meant. What did wait times compared to local demographics mean, to median incomes or availability of stuff, and also even digital divide, looking at, because we had all these different interfaces. We had SMS to iPhone to Android to voice, who was using what kind of technology where, again, against base demographics. So you can start understanding citizens and how they want to engage with technology itself. So it wasn't going to stop here. Open source platform, how can we use this kind of thing again? So quickly put it together for the inauguration. We had this great idea. Let's just, genericize a little bit more. Instead of going for the Votereport tag, go for the Inaugo 9 tag. So we fired up a new iPhone app, which again is open source, an Android app. Fired up the website again, and people could go submit inauguration reports. Here's what's cool. I'm coming to the inauguration. This was better because it was several days leading up to the inauguration. The day of was very big celebration. So it wasn't so much about, worried. It was about just let's know what's going on. And we even did some polling. So we worked with PointAbout, another local mobile developer, to actually have people where they could submit polls. What do you think? Will Obama get us out of this through session? Is Clinton the right choice for Secretary of State? And again, kind of get people being able to vote and keep kind of feeding back on the system. What were their feelings? What are they thinking about that? And again, this is all push the data in, and anyone can download the data and do whatever analysis they want after the fact. And so this has, besides just kind of awareness and journalism and reporting, has a lot of other uses. So Ushahidi came out of the Kenyan post-election violence, where they had people SMS and send information in about acts of violence. And so Al Jazeera actually fired up this open source platform for Gaza. They fired it in the Republic of Congo. They fired it in South Africa. So this kind of concept can apply to a lot of places like crisis reporting and also in disaster response. So this is actually how I got involved with Andy Carvin, was for Hurricane Wiki coming into Hurricane Gustav and Ike, was again pulling a whole bunch of off-source components, so wikis and blogs, getting a whole bunch of people to kind of gather information. So all these things were a mixture of user-generated content and FEMA data about what were evacuation routes, what were evacuation points, pulled in NOAA data, and kind of this kind of like live reporting and a way for people to come and get information, pull information out, dump it to nav systems, and kind of collaborate around this kind of rich information gathering. So it was great working with the community. The slides and all the information is available here. Thank you very much.